Hello and welcome. Today I'm getting into meat and potatoes when it comes to the exploration, hacking the site itself. Before we get to it, let me explain a couple of terms first. Firstly, the goal of the game. Finding the system core, find it, break it, and get the loot. You'll notice that core has two symbols with numbers next to them. They are called coherence and strength. Coherence represents the health, while strength represents the attack power of the core. In each site, you will find two types of subsystems, utility and defensive. Utility subsystems are first four from the top and think of them like power-ups, and then there are defensive subsystems, which are here to stop you from reaching the system core. They all have their own strengths and coherences. As a rule of thumb, as soon as you get a restoration node, you need to kill it. As long as it is alive, it will add 20 extra coherence to a random defensive subsystem each turn, but not to the core itself. Now, if this isn't enough, you also have data caches. There are forces of chaos, here to add some randomness to all of this. Each time when you open it, you have 50-50 chance to get a defensive or utility subsystem. Open them only as a last resort. Now that we got all of this out of the way, let's move on. Range for hacking is 5,000 meters for tier 1s and 6,000 for tier 2s, but for looting it is 2,500, and your cloaking device works as long as you are 2,000 meters away from any object. With that in mind, you have two options in case you need to make a quick getaway. First one, orbit around 2,000 meters without any propulsion modules on, and as soon as you see somebody on your overview, try to warp away or cloak a line and then warp away. Your actual orbit will be just about 2,000 meters, just enough to be able to activate your cloaking module. Second one, orbit around 500 meters with micro warp drive module on. That will put you around 2,500 meters and you will have greater speed when you turn on your cloaking device. With afterburners, you will be somewhere in between. Of course, you can always be stationary, aligned, and ready to warp away on a moment's notice. That's the lazy option. So, let me show you how first two options actually look like in practice. This is without prop mods. Press and hold mouse 1 on the target, hover around rotate, and drag it until you get to the 2000 and let go. I'm going to let the ship establish the orbit first, and you will see that it is just above 2000. Let's say that somebody showed up. I'm activating my cloak and immediately change my direction using the shortcut Q. I will put up a bit of space between the hacking site and the ship before I actually get away. You shouldn't stay too long since there is always a chance that the enemy will guess where you are and proximately decloak you. Time to align, decloak and warp away to a safe spot or a celestial object. If you are warping to a celestial object, be ready to warp away again since enemy can track you using directional scanner alone.
Warp drive active.
Alright, this is with micro warp drive on. Rotate around 500 and turn on your prop mod. As before, I'm going to give it some time to stabilize the orbit first and you will see that I'm flying just out of the loot range. Just like the last time, I'm going to act like somebody appeared. Cloak on and move away, but now I have more speed and therefore can move away further away and change direction a couple of times. With some practice, you will be able to use this time to align to your safe spot and instantly warp away before your speed goes below 75% of your max speed without the micro warp drive on, and therefore allowing you to instantly warp away. I'm going to show you two additional situations, something that you need to be aware when you're using Cloak in a site like this. Here I am orbiting around the hacking can. I'm trying to cloak up, but I am unable to. Why? Because this asteroid is apparently right next to me. When I add large collidable objects on my overview, I can see that the distance between us is exactly 0 meters. It doesn't look like it, but for all intents and purposes, it is. Only when I move away from it, I will be able to cloak up and run away if I want to. The second one is pretty much the same as the first, but a bit different scenario. Instead of stopping me from cloaking, it decloaked me due to its proximity. Again, I'm talking about the asteroid. You can see how far away I am from it, but the game states that the distance is 0 meters, and therefore distance is 0 meters no matter how it looks. Additionally, there are ships that can warp around cloaked. Some of them are used for exploration, but they are also good for hunting. They can sneak up and with its proximity block you from cloaking up. In such instances, it is best to just warp away if possible, since they are relying on you to be preoccupied with the hacking to notice them appearing at all. I do not have the video example right now, but I'll cover it in the future videos. Now, let's go back to hacking itself. I'm going to show you what is commonly called a rule of 6. When you have a hexagon shape pattern like this one, the middle is a safe spot. If you ever find a defensive subsystem inside of it, the system core is only one node away. I'm going to move fast through them and see what it tells me. Pay attention to the number when you're opening the nodes. If it's empty, it will tell you how far is either a system core, utility subsystem, or a data cache. The numbers will range from 1 to 5. The number represents how many nodes something is away from that spot. I found a defensive subsystem, Firewall. It locked all the nodes around it, they all do that. I can go through it, but right now I don't think that the system core is there, so I'll ignore it for now. Self-repair, nice. You can always use it right away and it will add 5 to 10 to your virus coherence for 3 consequent turns. Found second secondary vector. It deals 20 damage for 3 consequent turns to the system core or defensive subsystem of your choice. This one is really good when dealing with virus suppressors, which lower your virus strength by 15 since they always have coherence of 60. And there is the system core. Now I do not have to, but I'll use both of the secondary vectors on it, and the system core is no more. You probably noticed that I ignored all of the data caches since I didn't really have the reason to open them at all. Alright, let's move to the next one. And there we go, our restoration node. It must die immediately. Antivirus. I'll ignore that for now, because it would kill me if I try to go through it. Shield. When I use it, it will ignore next to attack that will deal damage to me. That would help if I decide to act the antivirus head on, but for now, I'll just save it. Kernel Rot. It has the coherence of the defensive or core system when used on them. Saving it for now. Got a 1 here. Alright, there is something there, so I'll use the shield to kill the antivirus and see what it is. Well, it is a data cache. We'll ignore it for now. I still have one more use on the shield. There's one thing that needs to be mentioned. Whenever you attack, you receive damage only if the defensive or core system survives your attack. I also get one when I remove the antivirus, but I don't want to invest too much here since I didn't even touch the rest of the map. Restoration, as always, kill it with fire. There is the system core. Time to use that kernel rot and kill it. Job done, next scan. The loot is kinda bad. Restoration. As always, kill it. Antivirus, we'll ignore for now. Another one and a virus suppressor. Well, I'm not getting this one on this run. When doing regular sights, you have 2 tries before the can explodes. Don't worry, the explosion deals no damage to the ship, at least in this sight. Let's try that again then. Luckily, a lot of these just go into that rule of 6 that I mentioned before. Never forget about it. Alright, barely have enough coherence to deal with the system core, but there we go, job done. I will let the video run in the background and use the time to mention a couple of other things. You probably noticed that the cores show up in different colors, green, yellow, and red. It just symbolizes the difficulty of the hack. On easy you have only firewall and antivirus, on medium you have restoration nodes as well, and on hard you have all of them plus the virus suppressors. Difficulty doesn't influence the loot at all. Keep that in mind. You can always scan the can before looting to see if it pays out at all. Bear in mind that if you open all the cans, the site will despawn when you leave. But if you leave anything unopened, it can take up to 3 hours for the site to despawn. It's considered a common courtesy to clean the site completely. That is it for today. If you think that I missed out on anything or need additional clarification, please let me know. Stay safe.